Hi, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt. I'm with Illinois WorkNet, and on the call with me right now, I've got Olivia Grisham, and I think Tammy is joining us, but we just haven't gotten her unmuted. I'm going to do that right now. Say hi, Tammy.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
So let's get started. We've got a lot of stuff to go over, and we want to make sure that we've got some time to cover everything. So if you haven't checked in, check in. And Olivia, after you get done talking about the dashboard updates, can you make sure that we've got that checklist uploaded into the TA files? Do you know if Michelle got a chance to get that proofed?
Yeah, I'll have to look and see, but I'll do that after I get done with going over my part.
All right.
Alrighty, everybody. I am quickly going to run through the enrolled and ISTEP dashboards, and we're just going to cover the areas that we're kind of getting people accumulated in that we need to make sure we're getting moved out. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to type in the comment box, and we'll definitely get those answered as we go through. I should, share my screen.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Alrighty, so the first row that we are starting to get customers accumulating in is this referral pending 2151 past due. So we have 13 customers whose appointment dates have passed, and the 48 hours have also passed to get that 2151 uploaded, and they do not have a 2151 uploaded. So you guys need to make sure you're getting those uploaded into the system within 48 hours. That is a DHS policy, so we really have to make sure that we're doing it in that time frame, or there could be consequences that come from DHS when it comes time to do conciliation or sanction. If those forms aren't uploaded according to policy, then they can't necessarily put the customers through conciliation or sanction, and they have to start that process all over again. So you should not ever have customers in this referral pending 2151 past due, because at their appointment time, if they do not show up, you should be uploading that 2151, reaching out to them to schedule another appointment and changing their appointment date in the system. And then it will reset that customer for that new time so they won't show as past due. The second section is this referral accepted and enrollment started and enrollment required. We have way too many customers in here. We have 36 customers whose services have been initiated by the CBO, but they have not actually enrolled them in a specific training program. This can cause issues for two reasons. One, if that training program fills up before that customer is marked as enrolled, they're not going to be able to participate in that training program, and they're going to waste a lot of time waiting to get into that training program to find out that they don't get in because there's no more spots. And two, if we're not enrolling these people when we're initiating services, the system is not going to know to look for their monthly upload. And if you are not engaging these customers right off the bat, that can result in some issues coming up with DHS as well, because we have to start initiating services with them and engaging them as soon as they show up for that initial appointment, and we initiate services with them and accept them into our CBO. So you cannot have customers showing up in March and doing nothing with them until May, because that's when the training program starts. You need to be engaging them in March all the way through until that training program starts, and then their engagement can be in that training program. So if you have a customer in this row, please go in and get them enrolled and make sure that you're engaging the customers. And then the next section, which is also has a lot of customers in there, but it is because it is the first of the month, is the CBO needs to upload past due. So we have 678 customers that need a 2151A form uploaded for the month of February and the activities they were engaged in then. Because it is the first of the month, everything resets. So we have all those customers in there, but you have until the 5th to get those all uploaded, and then that number will go down. And then the last section that we have customers kind of accumulating in is this exit status completion documentation needs uploaded. So we have 14 customers who have 90 days have passed, but they're not going to be completely done with the program until you upload all of the completion documentation. And you can see the completion documentation that is needed by looking in their exit information section, and it says in red text exactly what you need to do to finish this customer. So if you have a customer that is in that row, go in there and look at the exit information and see what the red text says, and that's what you need to do to complete them so they'll move to either the green or red section. So do you guys have any questions at all about the enrollment dashboard? Hi, Daryl. Okay, so I have no questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the ISTEP dashboard. So for the ISTEP dashboard in the personal development section, we are having the CBOs mark the customers as complete if they do not need any personal development steps. This will let us know that you have already assessed the customer in this area and you know they don't need any steps, and so you're done with it. If you don't mark it as complete, we're not really sure, do they need something? Have they just not got to this point yet? So by marking it as complete, we know you've already assessed this area and you're good. And so we only have 86 customers marked as complete, but 548 customers with no steps identified. So if there's no steps identified and you know they need no steps in there, go ahead and mark them as complete.
One of the things that we have noticed on this, Olivia, let me interrupt, please, just for a moment. We did a flip on the programming so that those people who are not yet enrolled will not show up in the ISTEP. But if there were people already in there, they have not been removed from that count yet. So there may be some people that you're saying, well, that person isn't enrolled, and we're going to get that fixed.
Yes. So then the next section is, so Kelsey has a question. Why would somebody be off track in career planning? So you mark the customer as off track if, say, in their career planning section, you had identified like they needed to work on their resume and maybe research a couple of different career pathways, and they're not doing any of that they're supposed to be doing. Then you go in and mark the customer as off track because they're not on track with the plan you have laid out for them.
Yes.
Yes, Kelsey, yeah.
Hey, Dee, can you explain how that's going to change, too, and we're going to have a neutral status? Because right now it defaults to on track.
Yes. So we are working on this. I'm not sure when it'll be out. It should be out hopefully before too terribly long, but I don't want to give you any certain timelines at this point. But we are going to make it so right now everybody's each section automatically defaults to on track. And so if they're off track, that means that somebody actually went in and moved them, so something is going on with them. But what we're going to do in the future, here coming up before too long, is we're going to add like a neutral status. So all the customers will not be marked as on track. They're just going to be marked as neutral. And so you guys will have to go in and say if the customer is on track, off track, or complete in each of these sections, the personal development, career planning, and academic. That way we have a better idea of what's going on, because since they're automatically marked as on track, if you forget to do one or maybe you didn't realize exactly what this was for, it looks to us that everything is going good and you don't need anything in that section. And so by having it as a neutral status, we'll know they're good because you actually said they're good, not because the system just automatically marks them as good. So that will be coming up. So the next section is the career planning section. And so we set a goal for you guys last week to get these target occupation not selected on March for the customers. And it looks like we did go in and get a couple more marked. The problem is we're always constantly enrolling new customers every week. So you might get all your old ones marked, but get 10 new customers that week. And as you said before, the problem is these numbers right here are showing for people who are also maybe were no contact for you guys. So once we get that resolved, this should give us a clearer picture of what needs to be done. And then we also have 216 customers with no career planning steps identified. So that's only 19% of the customers. So we need to make sure we're going in there and getting steps identified for those customers, regardless of if they've started them, completed them, or they are open. We need to at least get some steps in there of what the plan is going to be for this customer, and we can open them when it comes time for them to work on them and complete them as they finish them. And then the same section under academic and technical training, we have 362 customers who have no steps identified in academic and technical training. Not all customers will have academic and technical training skills steps, and if they don't need any academic or technical steps, you can mark them as complete. Looks like we have 53 customers who have either completely completed this portion or maybe didn't need any steps in there at all. So do you guys have any questions at all on this ISTEP dashboard? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is the 2846G. So what this is, the 2846G is used to send the customer a notice of their conciliation appointment. So when a customer needs to go through conciliation, when the CBO needs to put the customer through conciliation, the first thing you guys do is upload the 2151A with uncooperative marked and conciliation marked as well. And then you upload that to the customer's change in activity section. So you got the 2151A uploaded. And now our next step is we need to fill out the 2846G, which you can find that in the restricted resources page in our EPIC partner website. It is listed in the DHS or in the EPIC forms. It's this one right here. So you will download that form and you will fill it out. So you'll put the date that you're filling it out, the case name, the DHS case number, and the date for your conciliation appointment, the time it's going to be at, and where the conciliation will take place. So most of you will probably be doing them at your location, so you'll put your location name and address in there. You need to print a copy of this out and mail it to the customer. You have to schedule the appointment at least 5 days out to account for that mailing time, but you want to schedule it within 5 to 10 days. So we don't want to say, hey, in a month, come back in for your conciliation appointment. You need to have them coming back in within 10 days of filling out this conciliation form. So after you fill it out, you'll save it, you'll print it, and mail a copy to the customer so you know that they got the form and they can't say, oh, well, nobody told me. And that is required also for DHS to do sanctions. So if we're not mailing it out and uploading it, DHS can't sanction these customers. You'll have to do conciliation with them all over again if the 30 days has passed, and redo it and make sure you include this form. So after you mail it out to the customer, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to upload it to the customer's progress page so DHS can see that you did this form. So you will click Upload Other Documentation, and you're just going to find it in your list of wherever you saved it at in your computer. And you will open it, and you will put in the description the reason why the customer is going through this conciliation in the first place. So it could have been they're no longer showing up to their appointments, or any other reasons that you would be doing conciliations with these customers. So once you get that 2846G in there, you're going to put a note that says why the conciliation is going. And you can either copy and paste this note or create a whole new note, case note, but you also need to add a case note with the reason why this customer is going through conciliation. So if you were very, very descriptive in your description on the 2846G right here, you can just copy and paste that and put it in there. But if you're maybe just kind of vague, like not attending appointments, then in this case note, you're going to want to include not attending appointments for a week and multiple outreach attempts have been made to contact the customer to get them to come in for engagement, and no contact has been made. So the CBO is recommending conciliation for this customer. And then you can just add that.
Into something there?
Mm-hmm.
Can I add in something? One of the things that we're trying to do for you is get the case notes to be able to print for you to be able to take them to any staffing appointments. So the more specific you are in your case notes, the less extra paper you have to carry for that customer. Plus, it's there for all of us to see. It's there for DHS, you guys, and all of us that work on the administrative side of this. Plus, it makes us not have to actually open up the document, anybody, because if you've got a great descriptive note, it's right there. And you can say, oh, that 2846G, and this is why. Did I totally throw off your train of thought, Olivia?
No, I was just going to say you just need to make sure you add that case note into the customer's thing, and then you're good to go. Oh, I didn't add my case note. Oh, it went away.
And then send it. Do you want everybody to send it as a message?
No.
And an email, or just add the case note?
No, you just need to add it as a case note. Since you guys are the ones doing conciliation, DHS prefers not to be notified unless they need to take action. So you guys are the ones going to be doing the conciliation for these customers, so you don't need to add a case note. Because for customers who are no contact, no show, all you need to do is upload the 2151 with no contact, and that'll bounce it right back to DHS to notify them. And besides that, you guys are doing the conciliation, so DHS doesn't need to know. They'll see, they'll know, but they don't need an email to tell them. Will we be talking about staffings again later? Yes, we're going to cover staffings towards the end of this webinar. And so, Dee, that is all I had. If you would like to talk about this CCR&R?
Yes. So let me pull up my screen. Let's minimize yours. And I'll pull mine up and over. One of the things that we just found out on a call on Monday was that if you should happen to have any customers who have child care, and some of you guys already may know this, but some of you might not. If you have a customer who has children and needs child care assistance and they're on food stamps, there is a child care assistance application that they can complete. So if you go to the DHS page for the state of Illinois, over here on the right-hand side, and I'm trying to move my mouse around so you can see where I'm pointing to, it's got a child care application. So if you click on that, there's two spots here that you can click, and it's a child care application in English, and then over here it's a child care application online. Now, I was playing with this a little bit earlier today, and right now these links are not working for me, so I'm assuming that they're not going to be working for a few other people. But what it does is it opens up to an online PDF that will go to the people in charge at the child care place so that you can get some potentially free childcare for your customers, but they do have to qualify for an income eligibility calculator. And so what I did was I clicked open this childcare, and it says, what's your family size? You have to answer some questions, and then it says, see if you were eligible. Well, I just put in some numbers that seemed like they would be pretty realistic, and my copay was $14 for the month. So that was a great benefit, because then your kids are in child care and you don't have to worry about how are you going to pay for them. So I sent off some information to DHS to make sure that they could fix these links for everybody. And you're probably thinking, well, why are we telling you about child care if all of these customers are supposed to be ABODs, adults without dependent children? Well, the reason is because in some of the areas, or even in our own mandatory areas, if a customer has children and they are not receiving TANF benefits, they can volunteer to participate in the program. So this is just a resource that we found out about that we thought we would share with all of you. All right, so this is, I'll put the link here where you can find this. I'll put that in the chat pod here. And then that way you can go check it out yourself. Now, if you click on those, it's supposed to bring up a PDF. If it doesn't open, you may have to refresh. Megan, are they receiving TANF? Because if they're receiving TANF, they can't be in both programs.
And Dee, I want to point one thing out on that too. If you go down under 7B, it says find your local CCR&R. Each region has an office, and you can contact them directly also. So they're the ones that administer the child care services.
They're just having problems with that page. All their links are not doing well. All right, then they're fine. They're a mandatory participant. They're not receiving assistance for their children, so they can potentially apply for this child care assistance and see if they can qualify based on the income that they're receiving. But it asks for, like, if you're getting child support, like maybe from a divorce or something, as well as what other kind of benefits are you getting. So they'd have to fill out that eligibility calculator. All right, so now, okay. We will send out a link for the checklist that I talked about at our last webinar, because I was missing a page when I sent it to be uploaded. So we will include that link for a new customer checklist that I had shared last week. All right, Jonathan says, I thought if they had children, they are not mandatory because caring for a child counts as an exemption from activity. Yes, they could be exempt, but they can, at that point, volunteer as a voluntary participant in a mandatory area. I know that gets a little confusing sometimes. What if the customers don't have custody of the children? They're still eligible? I doubt it. That's one of those technical things that they'd have to fill out the eligibility calculator and see. Again, we just found out about this on Monday, and we thought we would share it with you as a resource, as an additional resource for you. All right, so Olivia, are you up with supportive services?
Yes. So for supportive services, we're just going to briefly cover, we wanted to talk about the spending limit per customer, and Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. But this was all in all of you guys' grant agreements, and I just wanted to bring it up to make sure we were all on the same page. but each customer has a limit of $500 for supportive services. So you can spend up to $500 on supportive services for the customer, but we cannot go over that $500. We are going to have a meeting and talk about maybe raising that limit, but as of right now, it is $500. Do you guys have any questions in regards to supportive services or anything like that?
And that's correct. That is something that was written into our application with USDA F&S, so it requires a modification, and we're discussing that potentially. One of the things I want to point out, though, anything like your training related, like books, are considered training and not supportive services. So your supportive services, in most cases, is going to be transportation. One of the reasons we wanted to show you the child care part of that is that that's a resource for you that you could potentially use and not have to use our supportive services money for the child care part. So, but, predominantly what we see in supportive services is, child care. There may be some, maybe some rent assistance or other things along those lines. But books, anything that like books that you're paying for would come out of the training category.
All right, what's next up on this agenda here?
So the next topic is tentative staffing schedules. But before we get to that, I have two questions about what we just talked about, the supportive services. So Alwana asks, have you thought about raising training program or raising training dollars?
And actually, the limit on the training dollars, there isn't a specific. I have to go back and look at our guidance on that limit. It's based upon an average, because you may have some clients that come in that you realize that they are only going to get, maybe employment assistance and job readiness skills, so their average cost would be less than, say, somebody that's going in and needs a bridge program and then needs adult basic education and needs career and technical. So that's all related to the client's specific needs. But I will pull it up while you guys are talking and let you know exactly what that says.
Okay, and then Kelsey asks, are you sure it's $500 for all?
$500 per.
Services? Kelsey? Yeah. She wants to know if it's $500 in supportive services for all CBOs.
It's $500 per participant is the max. And I think with the budget, we averaged it around $250 when you were doing your budget, and we said, because not all clients need supportive services either.
Yeah, that includes transportation.
And then the transportation to get to you guys is provided by DHS, but once they're enrolled with your organization, then you guys pick up the transportation costs.
Supposed to be until you're enrolled, and they're supposed to be giving them like maybe 6 bus rides. So depending on your enrollment process, it could end up being that they aren't getting any transportation from DHS. But we will bring that up. So if you could, everybody who's not getting, who their customers are not getting transportation from their DHS offices, please send an email to epic@illinoisworknet.com so that we can bring that up to the DHS admin team that we're working with.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go over some staffing, some staffing information now. So if you guys see down in the file pod right next to the chat pod, or right underneath it, I have uploaded the tentative staffing schedule for March. So I'm going to pull it up here on my screen so you guys can all see it while we're going through it. So right now, this is still tentative. It can change. If it does change, we will send out a email and let you guys all know what changes were made. But I think for March, everything is pretty squared away. They're working on getting April, May, June, and July also done, so we should have that here before too long. So that'll kind of give you guys a look at what we're going to be doing down the road to help you guys block off some time that you'll need for those staffings the following months. So as of right now, we have the Region 1 North staffing place taking place at Lower North, where it took place last month, and it will be between 9 to 5, first come, first serve, on March 10th. And then I included all of the pod and feeder offices that will be doing staffings that day. So it's going to be just like in February, where it's 9 to 5, first come, first serve for the North offices, and it's just going to be that one day. And then, so for the South staffings, it's going to be at the TPS South, same place it was earlier this week, or last month. And it's going to be taking place on March 13th and March 14th. March 13th, we'll be doing South Suburban, Cal Park, Mid-South, and Inglewood. And on March 14th, we'll be doing Southeast, Roseland, and Woodlawn. And so the way this is going to work this month, this is going to be a little different from February, is from 9 to 12, they're going to be doing the staffings for all the CBOs who are both SNAP and EPIC providers. And during that time, offices that have a large number of customers, like Mid-South, for example, has a lot of customers they're going to have to be staffing. They're going to have 2 DH staff on site, hopefully, if that's what they would like to do, to kind of help make that process quicker. So they'll have 2 people there to be working with multiple locations for those staffings. And then from 1 to 4, they're going to be staffing all of the locations that are just EPIC providers. And it will be the first come, first serve, same type of thing, just split up into 2 different time frames, the morning and the afternoon. So do you guys have any questions so far on what we have for the staffings for March?
Kelsey's typing. Megan's typing. We're going to try to get them to commit to a regular schedule just so that you guys can get this onto your calendar further in advance. Right now this is, 9 days notice? And I don't know, has this even gone out to you guys? Yeah, so. Megan, again, if you've got more than 7 customers, they kind of gave that to us as an arbitrary number. If you've got more than 7 customers, you have to do it in person.
I do know that they last February when they were doing this, they were going to call some people, and everything was very busy, crazy busy. I think busier than they had expected. So they had a kind of a lag time between when they wanted to do the phone calls and when the phone calls actually happened. So hopefully in March they're going to have, they'll know which numbers can be called and set up a time instead of doing it last minute like they did last time, where it was like, hey, we're going to call you in 2 minutes and do your staffing. So that shouldn't be an issue in the future, but please let us know if you run into that again. Yes, so I'll go over this schedule for the staffing one more time to make sure we're all on the same page. So this is a tentative schedule. It could change. I hope it doesn't. It probably won't, but if it does, I will send out a mass email to all the CBOs through EPIC and let you guys all know what changes are being made, whether it's the time or location or which offices are doing the staffing. We will let you know as soon as possible. But the dates are the dates shouldn't change. It should be March 10th, 13th, and 14th. So on March 10th, we're going to do the staffings for Region 1 North. It will be at Lower North, where it was in February, and it will be from 9 to 5, first come, first serve, like it was in February. And then I've listed out all the offices that are going to be, the feeder and pod offices that are going to be there to do those staffings that day. So if you have customers from any of these offices, you will need to go to that staffing. I also, in case anybody misses as well, down in the file pod, right under the chat, I included the staffing schedule so you guys can all download that and have it, and DHS will be sending it out as well. But since you guys only have 9 days until the 10th, we wanted to go over this with everybody and give you a heads up. And then the staffings for Region 1 South will take place at PPS South, the same place it took the South staffings took place at in February. On March 13th, they're going to be staffing South Suburban, Calumet Park, Mid-South, and Inglewood. On March 14th, they're going to be staffing Southeast, Roseland, and Woodlawn. And so the 12th and 14th staffings are going to be a little bit different than in February. Instead of having it from 9 to 5, first come, first serve, they're doing it from 9 to 12, all CBOs that offer the SNAP and EPIC will be doing the staffing. So if you're already a SNAP provider and you're also doing EPIC, you will be going between 9 and 12 on the 13th and 14th. If you are only an EPIC provider and you are not a SNAP provider, then you will be going to the staffings on the 12th or on the 13th and 14th between 1 and 4. And you might not have to go to both the 13th and 14th if you don't have any customers from Southeast, Roseland, or Woodlawn. You're just going to the 13th and vice versa. If you don't have any customers from any of the offices on the 13th, then you'll just be going on the
14th. Kelsey, according to Mary Beth, you guys got an email, so you might want to check your emails to see if you've gotten that. Hopefully this is the dates for March, and if you want to send a follow-up email to your appropriate offices to let them know, then you may be able to reschedule, but then you're going to have to probably go places. And right now we are looking, I've requested information to properly complete the 4334 because apparently there's a specific way that that one needs to be done as well. And I believe that the case note printout will be ready for the month of February, but Olivia will verify that with our programmer and include that in the notes that we send out for the follow-up. Okay, so then our email came from our SNAP liaison, well, it wouldn't come from EPIC, it would come from your SNAP liaison. None of the restaffings that needed to be rescheduled from last month were. That's interesting. The DHS offices did not respond. One did, but didn't answer her phone. I did not get the email. I got an email about referrals needed, no clue what that was. Your SNAP liaison would be the person in the office. So, for example, at Southeast, it's Maja McCaskill. At Mid-South, it's Ben Hernandez. So those are your SNAP liaison people. Okay. All right, we'll follow up with the DHS leadership and find out when that email is planned to be sent. Okay. And then the last thing, we kind of covered this when we were talking about the dashboards, is the ISTEPs are critical. The ISTEP steps are critical. It's part of how we track benchmarks for everybody. Tammy, do you want to talk a little bit about the benchmarks?
Yeah, you guys are all familiar and you agree on agreement that it's a pay for performance, and so it's based upon enrollments, completions, employed, and retained. And so we've created a CBO benchmark report and in the WorkNet system, and in the report it identifies how things are being counted. So what we're looking at is under the career planning steps. If you're just doing paid work experience along with at least 4 other services, which could be creating a resume, doing employment 101, one of those other 4 services that are in the career planning area. And then to the academic area, the specific steps that we have there are either with the remediation or remediation bridge, adult basic education, or one of the other components, which is the career and technical, academic college credits, and then also work experience. So it's very critical. We've been looking at numbers, and our numbers don't look very good when we're looking at the ISTEP. And I think a lot of that is just the fact that maybe things aren't documented in that the way they need to be. So we are reaching out. We were each assigned a CBO, and we're reaching out, and we're going to be working with you guys individually to make sure this information is documented on all clients. But I just wanted to let you know this is critical. We need to stay on that, and we'll help you, to make sure everything that's in there right now is documented correctly. But from here forward, also, because this is what's being pulled down by our management to look at, and it's also what's being pulled down by our evaluation team to look at our specific services. So I just want to emphasize that it's very, very critical that you use that ISTEP as their plan and document what services are being provided and what's open and closed also.
So what I want to do is I just want to refresh everybody's memory. And I know we get a little repetitive on some of these things, but it's important that you understand how important they are. On a customer's dashboard, we have blue-black up here right now. On their ISTEP, it has career planning and academic and technical skills and personal development. Under the career planning for add additional steps, we have all of these steps that they can include. Now, one of the things that we have available is work experience only. If you select work experience only for your customer because they're not going to be doing any training at all, academic or technical training, then they have to have 4 other of these steps added to their program in addition to the work experience only. So if you add the step, and I'm going to exit out of this right now, if you add the step, it's here, and then you can edit what the details of that step are. You need to have steps in each of these categories. If the customer, for example, does not need any personal development steps, then all you have to do is go to that personal development timeline and status and mark complete. One of the things, and we're going to update this link, this is something that I worked on with, I think it was Lisa McDonald from 2 Rivers in Region 4. She is doing an administrative assistant type position for the case career navigator. And so her person is going to be marking these boxes and stuff and then giving her the documents so that she can upload it into the customer's file. And then we've got personal development, is it complete, and all of these other steps. Let me expand this a little bit, make this enlarged. And then on here, we've got the 7 different things that you can mark under academic and technical skills that will count for EPIC. So let me just explain that a bridge program means contextualized improvement to reading, math, or language is used. And what that means is they improve their reading or math based on the actual occupation. So if they're doing carpentry and they need to be able to cut a roof, they're going to learn some trigonometry, but only enough to be able to cut the angles for that roof. Otherwise, they wouldn't learn the rest of the math things that don't have anything to do with that. So we're going to get this proofed and upload it to the customer resource, or I'm sorry, the EPIC resource page, and then you'll be able to use this as well if you would like. But it's very important that those steps are added for everybody. Now, what this says here, did you guys see what I was showing you? Because I see that if you're trying to show, your screen is still small. Did you guys see that? Okay. Okay. Work experience only equals paid work experience, yes. What if they don't qualify for paid work experience? Then just 4 other career planning steps? Yes. So why wouldn't they qualify for paid work experience? And then while Kelsey's typing, I'm going to also reiterate that if you have customers who are not enrolled, I have provided a list to our programmer to try to get those people out of those numbers. So those numbers will clean up, hopefully within the next 10 days. But we've got Cody working on a big project that affects global WorkNet. So Kelsey
and
says,
to interrupt you for a second, for Kelsey's response, one of the things that she would want to do, and we were talking about this earlier, if you are doing employment services only, then you need to make sure that they're marked on the progress page as employment services only, and then you need to document at least 4 completed steps under the career planning services. So in those particular cases, on the progress page, if you're not doing any paid work experience and you're just doing employment services only. And we can help you offline on that too, and we'll help you individually when we come to documenting these clients.
And Daryl asks, what if the WEX, work experience, is not related to their career path? In some cases, some customers have never, ever, ever had a job. In that case, just getting them to show up to work every day, doing what they're supposed to be doing at work, and getting a paycheck and reporting it to you is probably some pretty big workplace skills that they need to learn. So we're hoping that their work experience would be related to a growth career pathway, but in some cases maybe it's not. And in that case, we're going to use it as a learning experience. Would you agree with that, Tammy?
Yeah, I mean the primary focus is to try and put them in a paid work experience that's related to the occupation that you're training them in. And that's primary, but like Dee said, if they have very little work experience to begin with, a job is very significant, and learning those soft skills and learning to show up is significant too. So you can place them in paid work experience that's not related to career pathway, but we prefer you to align it with the training in the career pathway.
And Kelsey, I understand you've got that really tough IT program, but there might be, if they come to you and it's employment only, maybe you get them a filing job somewhere, or maybe you get them something where they learn how to use a computer. In a lot of cases, your referrals might come back to DHS because they just don't test out well enough. But then, all right, we're probably going to have to talk about that offline with you guys specifically. Okay, one last thing. On Tuesday, the 7th, I am going to be doing a training in the morning from 9 to 12:30 at Jane Addams Resource Center. They have several new employees, and they want me to come there to do a training. They have graciously opened up their lab to probably 7 or 8 additional people, because that's about all the room they have room for, all the space they have room for. And if you have a new person in your employment that is going to be working with EPIC and would like to come to this, not to be discriminatory, but because it's only a half a day and we're not going to do some intensive stuff, I would hope that it would just be Cook County type kind of people. We will work on getting together another in-person training, and we've got this pod right here. So what would you guys like to learn more about? Then we will plan that for the next in-person training that we're going to do for everybody that wants to come. But if you're interested in coming on the 7th, it's from 9 to 12:30, and it's going to be at Jane Addams on Ravenswood. I don't have the exact address. We'll include that in the notes that come out. It will be first come, first serve, and I'm going to cut it off at 7 additional people.
And one other thing I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about, too. Everybody that's in the Cook County area with the EPIC program is going to be invited to a webinar for a project that's called Snap to Success. And DHS is starting a new project that's going to be utilizing third-party claiming, which is a reimbursement process that you can get from the federal government. So like an example, if you put $2 into a client and $1 of that comes from non-federal money, it can be reclaimed from the federal government. So this is a new project that DHS has been working diligently on to get going. And they will be having a webinar, and they're going to be inviting all of the Cook County EPIC providers. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. It's probably a good idea to attend that. This is another good next step to get involved, into the SNAP, programs again. And then this is something that hopefully will provide even some sustainability for what we're developing right now.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? So if you know now that you want to come to training on Tuesday from 9 to 12:30, send me an email. Most of you should have my email. And otherwise, fill in the blank here for what you would like to learn more about on an upcoming training. And then we'll be getting out in the field soon to be doing technical assistance with everybody. Otherwise, we're going to be making phone calls and getting in touch with you. Olivia, you got anything else to say? Take yourself off mute if you do.
I do not.
All right. All right. Tammy's got to roll. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.